subject of this training video is turning a quote into an order. On the last training video, we discussed entering a quote. Now, at this point, let's say the customer calls back and he says, I want to change my quote into an order. At that point, you may not have a hard copy of it. You may not remember the quote number you gave him. It's simple to find it. All you do is click on your binocular button or hit your F2. I'm going to click on my binocular button. At this point, you can type in your customer name, or you can type in any of this information to help you filter and find the quote that you want. In this case, I've typed in ABC, but let's say I knew that I had sold him some plate and I knew the item. If I typed in the item ID plus the customer ID, then I clicked Display Records, it would only show me those quotes that matched all criteria. This is a pretty powerful screen. As you can see, you can search by sales order number, by quote number, maybe a date range. You can even search by a job name. You can search by every time a category was used on a quote or sales order, or you can even search by a customer part number or a customer PO number. In this case, we know this is the one we want. It's the only one, but we can also view the detail down here at the bottom and it can tell us that that's the one we want. At that point, we can select the quote and bring it in, and then we could make it into an order. But that's one of the ways. I'm gonna cancel this and show you another way that is also done quite frequently. If I cancel this and I'm at this screen, and let's say I know I want to look up a quote, I can say Q for quote. I can come down to the quote number. I can again hit F2 or do a lookup and type in just the customer ID and hit Display Records. It will show me all the quotes. And so it's very similar. It just doesn't have as many filters to search for the quote on. But I can obviously view the detail from there and select the quote just like I did before. Those are two ways of looking up your quote. Now at this point, we're ready to turn this quote into an order. So down here at the bottom, as I highlight the Make Order, you notice it says F4. Whenever you highlight one of the buttons, it will tell you the corresponding function keys. In this case, I'm going to click on Make into an Order. It does prompt up a little window and say, are you sure you want to convert this quote to an order? I say, yes, I am. It tells you that it's been converted to an order, but also tells you to enter values for items that are required. So as I click OK, you notice my cursor is up here next to the PO number. So I'm going to get a PO number from the customer and type it in. I can also at this point type in any ship dates or delivery dates if I haven't typed them in. Now I wanted to show you as well on this ship date, as you click on this, you can do today's date, the next date, or you can do a schedule date. The schedule will also show you exactly what is on each one of the days scheduled for shipment. In this case, on Thursday, I have 2,000 pounds scheduled for shipment. And that current weight, order weight, is included in the marked row. So in other words, this is probably my quote weight. At this point, I'm hitting cancel. I'm going to go on, and we're going to go over to now that we've made it into an order, we're going to go over to the order detail. As I click onto the order detail button, it makes sure that that's what I want to do to proceed, and I'm going to click yes. This is the order detail. At this point, I can edit any of the lines. Maybe when he called back, he said, you know, if you can give it to me for 95 cents a pound, I'll take it. You can edit it, and then I can come over here and I can say, what would happen if I did it at 95 cents a pound? At that point, I see that I'd make a 29% margin. Then I have to make the determination of whether I want to sell it to him at a 29% margin. If I agree that that would be good, I can just say line finished. I can even add a line. Maybe the customer wants some angle. I can click on New. I can come down and type in AN for angle. And at this point, I can see what I have. Maybe he wants some 5/8 by 5/8 by 1 inch, 1/8 angle. I can click on it. Now, one thing I didn't show you in the quoting screen, but is available, is this Inventory Quantities button. This is a feature that can be turned on in your miscellaneous functions feature initialization. Search for the word button. I'll show you how that's done. Miscellaneous, when you're searching in feature, it's right there. I can come down and I can say button because I want to search for all the features that have the word button in it. Sales order detail button options. If I click on that, you notice one of those options is inventory quantities or dimensions. I'm going to choose quantity and save. That's what I did before this video, and as you notice, that's where the inventory quantity button comes, and if I hit enter, it will give me how much I have in stock. In this case, this is not a tagged item, this is a homogeneous, meaning all like items for that size. So all my 20 footers will just be on one line. I have 540 feet or 27 pieces at $45 a hundredweight. I can also come down here at this point. If I hit enter, I can just do the order, the quantity ordered. I can say 3 pieces of a standard size, it's 20 feet. I hit enter, or I could have done a non-standard size. If I click up here and say NS, that would be non-standard. Maybe he wants some 10 footers. That would be 3 10 footers. At this point, I can come over to the mill cost, $45 a hundredweight. I put in a margin that I want because I haven't set up pricing for this, because I wanted to show you this is if you don't set up pricing, you can type any of your margins or base price that you want. So maybe you want 25% or maybe a 30% margin. That'll tell you that you need to charge them $64 a hundredweight to get that 30% margin if your mill cost is $45 a hundredweight. Then you can come down to your unit price, type in per pound, or maybe I want to do per each. Any of the valid factors that you can do, each, piece, pound, ton, any of those are valid. And you can also click your little down arrow key and choose any of these, and they will calculate for you. When I'm done, I do line finished. Now at this point, it will attempt to reserve any inventory. Since I had 20 footers out there, it didn't reserve because I don't have any 10 footers. If I did, it would have reserved automatically. However, I can reserve by clicking on the quick reserve button. For homogeneous items, it's easy. For 3 10 footers, I need 2 20s. So as I click on that and say reserve, it will ask us how many of the 20 footers we need to reserve. And I'll say I want to reserve 2 of those pieces. Now let's come up to show you the difference between that and tagged. Tagged inventory is lot tracking. So let's say on this one right here, for this 2 pieces of 15 by 36, I wanted to reserve a piece of 48 by 96. I highlight the line item. I can edit it by clicking on the E button. I come down to quick reserve, and this time I can see that I have 9 pieces of 48 by 96. I can click on it and reserve and just say I want to reserve 1 piece. As you notice, as I reserve these, their little stars are next to the item ID up above in the grid that tells you that there's a reservation against it. Also, a few other things that like to note. This line notes, you notice it has a little star there. That means I have notes. This is the note I put in originally on the quote that carried over to the order. At this point, maybe I want to make a little note to the guys in the warehouse and say, now, to go back one, just to make sure you're on the line that you're wanting to do the note on, because it's going to do the note right underneath this line description on the printed copy, which is what I want. So I click on line notes, and I can come down and I can say to my guys in the warehouse, pull from 148 by 96 and restock remnant. Now you're going to see when it prints out, the system will automatically tell them that the tag that was chose for reservation, and so that already does that without you having to do an internal note. But this is just to show you if you wanted to do an additional note to your guys in the warehouse. When they're done, you can click on line finished, and you now notice at the bottom of the screen it gives you your line profit for any of the lines you highlight. This one is your margin of 29.47. The second one has a margin of 34. And the third one has a margin of 30. Gives you your order profit and your order margin. If you want to click on this order summary, it will give you a more detailed breakdown of not only the line that you're highlighting, but the total order margin. When we're done here, we are now ready to print the order. So I click on order finished. And at this point, my select forms to print button window pulls up. I have selected by default to print the sales order, the pick ticket, and the order acknowledgement. However, you can do any of these as defaults by, again, going to the feature initialization and typing in forms, and it'll actually allow you to select the forms you want as default. But let's print these. Let's preview them to show you what they look like. At this point, I'm going to print the order. The first one's order. This is where your logo can be put. I just put my Kimsey software logo, but obviously you can have your address and your own logo designed here. This is my sales order 13511. It comes in with the total, the pieces, and the extended price. at the bottom. And you can have your own forms. So your forms can be, you can design your forms and give them to us, and we will put them in the system for you. We will design them to match your design. That's the sales order. The next one that'll print is the picking ticket. Now, I've told the pick ticket to print in 3 different pick tickets. You don't have to do this. You can print a pick ticket. Each pick ticket has all 3 of the lines. I've told it to divide up, so every time there's a different line item to actually do a different pick ticket, so I can send it to different places in the shop. That's just a little feature. So if I close this down, it'll print the next pick ticket. Now you notice this pick ticket's a little different because I reserved a piece. So it tells me this is the tag I reserved, this is the item, this is the width and length. If I had any heat number, it would print, and the pieces and where the location is to pull it. In this case, I'm not tracking locations, but if I was tracking a bin location, I could say to pull it from bin location B1. As you notice, when I close this down, the last one will be for our homogeneous item, which is our angle item. In this case, you notice it just tells you have some 20 footers, and that's a total of 40 feet. And so it just is telling the system to go out and reserve some pieces of 20 footers. In this case, that means that there's 3 total out there that you're 3 pieces that you're wanting of the 10 footers of the 120 inches. But you can configure this in various ways. You can even have this show it so it's the number of pieces reserved or the total number of pieces on the order. When you're done, you close this down, and now it's going to print up the order acknowledgement. Now the order acknowledgement is basically like the sales order, but sometimes you can print different things on the order acknowledgement. You can configure it a little differently. When you want to email that, you just simply click on the email button. This email button allows you to email any of your documents. You notice it just pulls it in, pulls the customer's email address in automatically, and this is what it's going to look like when your customer gets it. So there's a nice little PDF, and then you just hit your send button. That's how you email. So emailing is very seamless. When you're all done with the order, you close it down, and we're now at the stage where we can go to the next order. Our next training session will be on more of more detail on sales order entry in terms of doing buyouts, requests for quotes, and other things. It's a more advanced sales order entry system. And that's it for this training video.